morning-ish, midday-ish, depending where you are in the world, or maybe it's already Monday for you. Anyway, alarm bells are going off all over the planet right now, and it's not a coincidence that I'm seeing a lot of alarm bells in the global astrology. Ding-a-ling-ling-ling, 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 ding-a-ling. The big one recently, of course, was Pluto goes direct. That was just a few days ago. And what I feel is that we had 6 months of pent-up, unresolved issues to do with power, money, and control at the very highest levels of human ownership of power, money, and control. In other words, the elites. Hello, Taurus gang. Greetings. Thank you for dropping by. This is a spontaneous, probably a short live video, but I had to get it out there. So Pluto has just turned direct. So everything that was not sorted out during the Pluto retrograde, which was about 6 months long, still comes into play as future issues that have to be figured out. You've got to reveal it to heal it. The retrogrades are great for revealing, repairs, reorder, restructuring, remodeling, redefining, rejoicing, rearranging, restructuring, all of those things with re. And at the level of Pluto, it's the depth of our soul, of humanity. So to me, it's very interesting that if you look at it as a ticking clock and Pluto reaches the moment of stationary direct, where it starts to move forward again, all the pent-up stuff that was not resolved becomes like a massive ammunitions dump, powder keg of repressed, suppressed, ignored, unrefined, uncontrolled power. Kaboom. Guess what happened? You've probably seen it on the news. There's a few problems we have in the Middle East. Also, at the same time, we have this new moon solar eclipse. And again, I feel that, with eclipses, we're looking at evolutionary gateways. With Libra, it's to do with a loose alignment with the South Node in Libra. So we're looking at obsolescence, redundancy, indulgences, and default attitudes, perceptions, and dynamics regarding the world of relationships. So on a global scale, that means the relationships between populations, countries, and so on. And with the eclipse, whatever is inappropriate or has not been figured out will be eclipsed. And so, again, I see very combustible, violent, unresolved, uncontrolled, uncontrollable dynamics happening in the Eastern Mediterranean region regarding two populations that have hated each other for thousands of years, and they're still going at it. There were periods of peace, but I feel that the eclipse basically removed anything that was fake, unresolved. And I believe that there were a lot of, I don't like to say this, but relationship dynamics that were suppressed with the purpose of being acceptable and politically correct on the world stage. Whereas the reality is there's nothing healthy at all about the relationships between the two populations that I'm talking about. It's highly volatile, very, very toxic, and it's just carrying on where it left off. kaboom, more alarm bells. And because it's so dysfunctional at the very, very depths of human behavior, they resort to violence, extreme violence. Human beings can be extremely violent. If they haven't figured out other ways to resolve their problems, they kind of go, you know what? Screw it. Beth, I'm going to take you out. And it's been going on for thousands of years. I was talking to Love Triber recently about the phenomenon of MURDER. And even just a few hundred years ago, I remember reading some stories about English history where MURDER was just a standard way of resolving problems between people who didn't like each other for whatever reasons, like a neighborhood feud or a political drama or, warring factions between Lord so-and-so and Sir so-and-so or the Queen of so-and-so versus the King of so-and-so. You just kill the people that you don't like. That's what they do. And we're still at it today. Anyway, so I just wanted to point it out. Everything that I'm seeing in the astrology correlates perfectly with what I am personally seeing in the world. None of it surprises me at all. In fact, I feel it's going to get a lot worse because we're going through major evolutionary thresholds right now. Probably the biggest one of all is the Pluto journey from Capricorn into Aquarius. We're now at the 28 degree mark of Pluto and Capricorn, which is historically at the very foundations of the very soul of this country here in America where I live. And there was a lot of bloodshed in order to establish this thing that we have in America that is unique across the world, in that everything is inverted towards the traditional ways that people were governed and ruled. In the old days, we the people had very little power. We were just essentially servants, serfs, disposable, expendable bodies, to be, let's say, like, chess pieces for the lords and the ladies and the kings and the queens and all the rulers who are, trying to run their world. So humans are just still doing what humans do, but it becomes very obvious when you see these astrological timestamps where you can measure how far have we come. And so in some ways, we've made amazing leaps and bounds ever since Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto were discovered by modern day astronomers. I see that, yeah. I don't watch mainstream media hardly at all. I watch a lot of, I would call it underground or alternative media that's typically suppressed. My channel is heavily suppressed, and most of the channels that I love have now become heavily suppressed. It's because I like to speak about things that are politically so-called incorrect. Anyway, thanks for the comment, Albin. So anyway, just wanted to mention alarm bells are going off. As far as I'm concerned, from what I can see, major alarm bells. The very biggest one that I saw was in January 2020. I already wrote my book about that, if anyone's interested. But now, moving on, years later, we're heading into a whole new chapter. We're right at the cusp of where Capricorn is not going to go retrograde anymore while it's in the sign of Capricorn. It's going to be moving into Aquarius, okay? So when Pluto moves into Aquarius, it's going to just trigger the energy of revolution, rebellion, upheaval, and anything at the very core soul of humanity that resonates with the energy of tyranny being imposed on the phenomenon of freedom. I prefer freedom. There are millions and, well, billions of people on Earth who live under tyranny right now. It's still alive and well. It's a very, let's say, crude form of I guess, power, control, and money. Excuse me. I'm at a little. I had to get out. I had to get out and about somewhere completely public and neutral, where I wouldn't be too triggered by anything special. So I'm going to say this. Anyway, so with astrological timestamps, I just mentioned a couple of them. I just did a whole playlist on my channel, 12 videos for the new moon eclipse, solar eclipse in Libra, for every sign. So you can watch that if you're interested. I haven't made videos about this yet, but I'm going to have to make videos about it. Number one, I'm looking at a certain date on the 5th day of the 11th month in the year 2024. That's a very, very, very important day in America. And when you look at the astrology for that particular day, I guarantee we're going to see chaos and fraud, deception, betrayal, theft, lies from every imaginable corner, okay? So, excuse me. Cheney's, I don't really have an opinion on Cheney's America. I'm sorry to say that. Dick Cheney was around. Maybe he still has a lot of influence. I'm not really sure, but we're talking, what, 10, 20 years ago or something, when Dick Cheney was really, really a boss guy in one of the government position. Anyway, so these alarm bells, I'm sensing alarm bells, and when I sense them here, because my body is an antenna, just like, birds have GPS, whales, dolphins, orcas, butterflies, they have an internal GPS, and it kind of goes through their, whatever it is, pineal gland or the amygdala or the, what's the other one that begins with P? The pituitary, something like that. And, I didn't know he died. Pardon me. I think his daughter is in office right now. Anyway, so two timestamps and two alarm bells, very, very close together. Pluto goes direct into Capricorn, and over the next year and a half, Pluto is going to make the ingress into Aquarius. So we're going over a threshold. It's going to be extremely tumultuous for the whole of planet Earth, much more so than it was 250 years ago. We're talking about 8 billion people now that are going to be impacted by all of this, because everybody is connected to everybody today in a way that did not exist 250 years ago, the last time this astrological cycle occurred. So you might want to brace yourself and try and figure it out. How are you going to survive this tumultuous energy? What happened to him? Oh, well, 250 years ago, give or take, we had 4th of July, 1776. That's kind of an important date for the United States of America. And 250 years later, we're going through I call it the Pluto cycle, where we're coming back to a rebirth and death of this thing that we call America. So America is part of the mix. America is involved in these alarm bells very, very deeply. When I look at the astrology of America, and I compare it with the astrology of the 5th day of the 11th month of the year 2024, I'm going to have to make videos about it. There's another fellow who's very, very controversial. Some people hate him. Some people love him. But you can't deny that he is out there having a huge influence on what's happening in the United States. So I'll use the initials, I guess. It's very self-destructive for me to speak too openly on my channel about the subjects that I enjoy, because the algorithm does not like who I am or what I do. They haven't killed me off completely, but I'm still here. But anyway, back to the modern day astrology, we're going through a cyclical event. If you're a student of astrology, you've probably heard of Mercury retrograde, Saturn retrograde. You've heard of your Saturn return. You might have heard of a Jupiter return. Anyway, there's all sorts of returns. These are very cyclical events. And for most human people, the Saturn return is probably the most famous because it's very much to do with karma and what does and does not work in your life, where you are presented with basically an administrative test list of where you have failed and where you have succeeded. It's totally impersonal. No one's judging you. It's just a presentation. If you really had a really crappy life and you did something awesome about it, you will enjoy. If you had a good life and you abused it, you will suffer accordingly. Now, some people don't have any of that. They're just born into HELL and misery, and there's no way out. I'm talking about people who have a little bit of, let's say, ownership and, let's say, the value systems and the good fortune to be able to enjoy freedom and free will and free expression. I want to just hold on, Albin. I can see your notes there, but you might have to remind me to come back. I just want to get my notes out here briefly, because this is just a short, spontaneous live stream, because it's been very alarming over here today. Extremely alarming, because I scroll through a lot of, let's say, news media that you will not see here in America. And it's alarm bells, very serious alarm bells. But anyway, the alarm bells the two immediate ones are Pluto is going to go direct. And so over the next year to year and a half, you can expect massive tumultuous events and upheavals and revolution. Revolution at the core of your body, mind, heart, and soul, and revolution in the traditional way that people think about it, like people going crazy in the streets, demanding freedom. The big cry will be for freedom, freedom, freedom of speech, freedom to defend yourself, freedom to protect yourself, freedom from tyrannical overlords who are trying to steal your body, mind, heart, and soul. That's what's going on here, okay? So, oh, you're from Sweden. Hello. I've always wanted to go to Sweden. Looks like such a beautiful place. I know you've got a few problems there with, I guess I can't even use the word, immigration. And you've got a lot of issues that are happening in your beautiful country now because of the word that I just spelled out for you, okay? Anyway, so alarm bells happening right now. Pluto now direct, moving forward into Aquarius. Revolution, threshold, upheaval, shock, unpredictability. Extremely difficult to predict when the next form of upheaval will happen. It's going to happen all over the world because everybody is tuned into this now. Everybody, even the millions of migrants who have entered the United States, they're all getting smartphones, free smartphones, so they can see all of this, okay? Oh, I see. I see a problem with integration, not immigration. Ah, that, yeah, the power of words. Alban, I am seeing the power of your words. I don't know how to respond, but I understand what you're saying. Anyway, so we've got Pluto going direct in Capricorn, right on the exact point of birth for the United States, which was born with Pluto in Capricorn 27.5 degrees retrograde. So we're at the exact point of the Pluto return. So we're witnessing it like a virtual death of America, as America implodes and collapses in order to be reborn. Question is, how will it be reborn? What's that going to look like? Lily, over there in Austria, greetings. How are you, Lily? My gosh, it's good to hear from you. So, we're talking about alarm bells, astrological alarm bells going off. Bang, 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 bang. Ring, 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 ring. It's all over the world right now, and you're probably aware of it. So we've got the Pluto cycle, okay? It's a big deal. It's an extremely big deal for the United States, because you might have noticed that the United States is imploding financially, economically, politically, sociologically, psychologically, and in terms of health. The United States is imploding. It's a natural consequence of a Pluto cycle because of the way that humans evolve and grow and die. We are born, we grow, we live, we procreate, and we die. There's roughly four phases of the Pluto cycle. There's the birth, where we claim our power. There's the ascendance, where we rise into and maximize and optimize our power. Then there's the third cycle, where we enjoy the wonders and benefits of all that power that we have developed. And then there's the decay of all of that power. And we are in the final stages of the last 60 years. So if you break it up into 62-year patterns, 4 chunks of 61 years. Break the Pluto cycle into 4 chunks. We're in the very, very last year of the very last chunk, where we're seeing absolute rot, decay, degradation, the death. We're at the point of death. I don't mean to scare you. It is a virtual death, but for some people it is a real death. So it's like a lot of people it won't mean anything. They'll just live through all of this like nothing happened. The classic symptoms that you will notice, the most obvious symptoms of decay, is war. Either war in your territory, in your land, in your people, with your people. War between your own people in your own land. War between the elites and the masses. War in the financial world, in other words, the foreign exchange markets, the currency wars. That is probably by far the most powerful and deadly part of the war, but you'd never notice because you don't see it. You don't look to the global, what's called the FTX markets, the FX markets, the foreign exchange currency markets. You have to understand, in deep astrology, deep finance, the American dollar is the most powerful weapon on earth. Obviously, there's nuclear bombs and all that, but the US dollar is the most powerful weapon on earth. And sadly, America has abused that power profoundly. So The next alarm bell, of course, is the eclipses. We're seeing a lot of degradation, failure, collapse, and the eclipsing of relationships. There might have been relationships that appeared to be working okay, but they have been discovered to be obsolete, redundant, toxic, taken for granted, assumed that it's all going to work well. Deep inside, it's a simmering cauldron mess. So that's what we're seeing now. And it's, again, a very natural process. It's what you would expect. So it's happening, and all the degradation, it's going to permeate the whole of Earth, the whole of society. There's 8 billion people that we have right now, and at least 2 billion are in very, very deep trouble. The next alarm bell that I'm looking at, there's multiple astrological alarm bells that I'm looking at. Even later in this year, multiple ones through 2024, because it's such a tumultuous threshold, pivoting around Capricorn Aquarius transit. And I already mentioned a very, very big, very important threshold on the 5th day of the 11th month of the year of 2024. Everything is building up to that point now. It's going to be tumultuous. Okay, so brace yourself, okay? I agree. Hello, ich bin. Yes, someone. Oh. Well, ich bin so. I'm not familiar with the circumstances, but I hope it's not too painful for you. Remember, we all depart at some point. You might remember that dear path traveler departed only a couple months ago. What a wonderful soul. Such a shining bright light and inspiration for so many. I miss her terribly. She was such a vital, inspiring member of our little community here. God bless path traveler. All right. I hope you are handling things okay. Ich bin so. Hello, Albin. You agree about the dollar, but don't you think that's the fault of the human race? Well, it is partly. Oh, Path Traveler is the screen name of a community member we had on this channel for like 5-6 years. She just passed over very recently. That's the little community that we have on this channel right here. If you enjoy this channel, if you enjoy this community, if you feel that you get value and pleasure and wisdom and healing, you're welcome to hang out with us. This is my channel, Tarot Illumination. I'm just doing a spontaneous live stream. So I just got one of the things that triggered me to do this live stream is that I just received some information from one of our wonderful community members here. Wow, what the hell was that? Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm quite close to a very heavy traffic interchange. So some of you may know that there's a massive migration. I'm trying to be polite. I'm trying to use words that don't trigger an algorithm. There's a massive migration issue that's causing a lot of problems in our country here in America. It's impossible to describe the scale. I can't see it for myself except for the alternative media sources where I get some of my information. But I just got some information from inside America from one of our community. Thank you, NT. Excuse me, I got allergies, bad allergies. And it showed hundreds, if not thousands of people at the, I think it was the O'Hare Airport, Chicago. Did I get that right, NT? Anyway, we'll have to verify it. But all of these people that she saw at the airport, they're living in all the public open spaces in the airport. Every single person has a little cot, and they have a phone, and they have a piece of cardboard that identifies the person who lives on this little cot. And the federal government is coming around bringing things like food and free phones, okay? Lincoln TL is in Vegas. Okay, yeah. Lina K. Alban Cheney is MIC. A vote for that is a vote for more contentious wars and bloodshed. Okay, I personally do not condone. I kind of agree with you. I'm not a warmonger, but I do believe very strongly in the right to self-defense. Okay, I believe it's very, very important. And that's one of the things that pisses me off, by the way, is that especially, I mean, I lived in California, Venice Beach for like 22 years, 21 years. I felt like I was incredibly fortunate. I had a magical life. I worked in movies and television for almost 20 years. And I'm an artist, writer, and musician by nature. I'm also an astrologer and tarot reader. So you might think I'm a bit of a hippy-dippy type, but I'm also very practical in many ways. But when I came back from this incredible trip to New Zealand, I landed on March 3rd, 2020, 3 months after the critical date that I described in my book. And March 3rd, 2020 was a pivotal day for me in my life. I'll never forget it because the whole of Los Angeles got locked down. And there was a terror and there was a panic. And I had a nice apartment and I had tenants in the apartment and they all went berserk. They started abusing each other, fighting, and horrific things happened. And I had to do a major eviction, and then I couldn't take it anymore. I was surrounded by so much crime, so much violence, so many homeless people, so much drugs, murder, helicopters, sirens, ambulances, gunfights, all of that stuff. I had to get out. So I got out. And I lived in a really cool place. So anyway, in California right now, what is frightening, and it's all happening all over the west coast of America and part of the east coast of America and parts of, I think it's Illinois and a few other states, but the whole idea there, what's happening there is that they are legalizing crime and they are criminalizing self-defense. Okay? Now this is deliberate. Okay? So it makes you think, why would anybody in their right mind institute laws to legalize crime and criminalize self-defense? Well, it's deliberate. It's because there is an agenda to upend our beautiful country, America, and destroy, totally, utterly destroy all sense of hope, optimism, freedom, and our rights and our Constitution, and to replace it with a globalized tyranny. That's the plan, but we're not allowed to talk about it here, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But there is a plan, okay? So I just wanted to mention these alarm bells. By the way, I also wanted to mention that there are several channels where I get some of my global news. A couple of them are, one of them is based in Portugal, run by Americans. One is, anyway, the point is these are channels that I believe communicate real facts, real information, what I consider to be truth, instead of propaganda and BS and lies that are propagated by a certain group of elites at the very top of the global system, mainstream media and all that kind of stuff. So those particular channels, I'm not going to say them, but they're very important. Each one of them has millions of subscribers and followers. One of them has been completely I haven't been able to put out any content since the day. I can't even talk about it here because this video will be. So it's all happened in the last week. There's 3 very, very important channels. Important as far as I'm concerned, because they represent common sense, conservative views and values. They represent freedom of speech, freedom of information, and truth. Believe it or not, it's up to you. I happen to believe in them strongly because there's very few places left anymore where you can actually access truth, facts, raw information from which you can make your own decisions about how you conduct your life rather than having a certain life imposed upon you ruthlessly by a bunch of tyrants. So that's very disturbing to me. My channel was already heavily suppressed, so I don't even try to fight it anymore. I get my demonetizations, I get my deletions, I get my warnings, I get my strikes. I try to appeal, but nothing. The general response is, hey, Terra Illumination, you're doing great. We're sorry about your troubles and your losses. Remember that YT loves you guys. We can't do what we do without you, the creator. We're on your side. And please trust and understand and believe that regarding your algorithm, TL, there is absolutely zero human intervention to try and move it in a certain way, this way or that way. So whatever's going wrong, it's on you. We have a problem here, as you can tell. What they're trying to do, they keep sending me these weird messages. It's basically, if you read between the lines of the messages, it's time for you to start censoring yourself so that we don't have to keep censoring you. It's getting bad, people. It's getting really, really bad. If you've seen what's going on in Canada, almost all independent media is being hacked, sliced, decapitated, okay? Hold on. Give me a second here. This place is amazing. I'm probably not allowed to show it, but I just got a senior coffee and it's free. They gave me a senior coffee for free because I'm past a certain age threshold, which qualifies me for a senior coffee. Isn't that wonderful? Anyway, I just wanted to send out this alert. This is an alarm bell video, and I will be posting videos about this stuff, but we're going to do it from the studio, and you're going to have genuine, real live Terra Illumination astrodoodles to illustrate the alarm bells that I'm hinting at here, okay? So anyway, thank you very much for listening. By the way, it's Sunday here in America, so we'll be doing our Sunday Night Live mini tarot readings if anyone's interested. I usually have room for 3 readings. Like sometimes, I don't know if my throat will handle it, but sometimes I can do 4. And you go to terraillumination.com and you put a donation in and you can get your own live mini reading. There you go. So, ich bin so, thank you for visiting. Albin, greetings and welcome. Maybe come and see us again. And Lynn K. Oh, where's him? Lynn K. Hello. Lina K. I'm on delay, but so far right with you. Thank you. It's difficult to navigate sometimes in these, in this world. Like, here, just to give you an idea about this, the suffocating feeling of censorship. I've had my channel for almost 7 years now, and I enjoyed a lot of freedom in the first couple of years or so, 2 or 3 years, until I start getting attacked by the algorithm and certain people who believe that what I do is some kind of demonic enterprise. Anyway, the owner of this platform decided that I am guilty until proven innocent. Of course, I tried everything to prove my innocence. I don't run a cult. I don't abuse people. I don't steal their money or anything like that. I'm an astrologer and a tarot reader. Okay? So anyway, I've been living under a very, very choking algorithm for years. I'm used to it. Some people are only encountering now the power of mainstream media censorship. And so it's very painful for them because some of them have millions of followers. And then they're discovering, oh my God. So if they're used to making huge amounts of money on their YouTube channel and all of a sudden it's not there, that's a huge problem. I already operate at the margins of the margins financially. So, you know, what's a loss on top of loss anyway? But anyway, when I started going over to RUMBLE, which is an alternative platform to YT, I started speaking more freely and openly, and I'm going to keep gently migrating further and further towards RUMBLE. You've probably noticed that I'm struggling over there if you visited the platform. I'm still learning how to work with RUMBLE. Tina over there near the Quebecois region of Canada. Thank you, Tina, for your support. Thank you. Alban Evans, agreed, Lena. Violence breeds violence. Absolutely. It's very, very simple. Very, very simple. So anyway, let me just check on something here. Hold on. Uh-oh, my camera just flipped. How did that happen? Huh. Ivona, I don't know what happened, but my camera just flipped around. Here is my hand. So right now you're looking at a brick wall. You're looking at a brick wall because I was over here. I don't know if you can see this. I can't see what I'm doing from here. I'm just, winging it because I'm just about to wrap up the video. But anyway, I guess. All right. Well, listen, I'm just going to wrap it up now. We've been here quite a while. This was only going to be a couple minutes long, but thank you for watching. I hope to see you this evening. Take care, everybody.